Don't hate the player. There's a famous saying which states that if you don't, actually, I'll get to that one afterwards. What I want to get to first is that famous saying: if life is if life is a game, then the key is to find a game worth playing. And I think you can look at this from a spiritual perspective, not from a carnal human perspective. Um, so I'm I finished reading recently, actually, audiobook, Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Talks about our soul's journey, in the afterlife and through lives. And you don't have to believe in that if you don't want to, but it's super compelling. I mean, you can judge for yourself. But that's not the topic of this. The topic of this I'm getting into now, which is that all through life there's been things that have been perceived to be unfair. Like Martin Luther King, for example, he changed the rules of life, of humanity, by doing sit-ins and protests, and we have a lot of protests now. I mean, there's a lot of injustice in the world, and you know, the key in life is to have a narrative and a story and an objective and a purpose that is meaningful. Like I brought up Journey of Souls because one of the primary, I mean, there's a lot of things, but one of the primary things to me is kind of like just all the learning that goes place in souls, both during lives and after lives. Um, they have like books of life where you review your life and other kinds of things, counsels. And I think even in this life, obviously, we're here and we're meant to learn. So if, if you find that you're in a situation, I mean, you don't have to call it a game, but if you find that you're in a story that you don't like, then like Martin Luther King, try to rewrite the story. There's a famous saying about negotiation that, if you can't win, uh, change the rules. Arnold Schwarzenegger said something like that also. So back to the original saying of don't hate the player, there's another famous expression you might have heard saying don't hate the player, hate the game. And I think it all comes kind of back full circle to the same kind of thing that, like, if somebody's winning by the current rules of society, then, and you don't like that, then change the rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game, hate the way that it's set up. Because we always go back and we say, 100 years ago this was unfair, 1,000 years ago this was unfair. And 1,000 years from now they're going to say that, we were crazy slash barbaric in the things that we did and the things that we believe. Because society, just like there's physical evolution, that there's very slow, I think there's social evolution also. Like we're becoming more soulful, over time, but it's very, very slow. We still have a lot of injustice in the world. I mean, we're more civilized as a species than we were, a million years ago. And because of the law of accelerating returns, it's getting quicker and quicker, even though it's still slow. So, 100 years from now might be like 1,000 years progress in the past, because like in the last 200 years, we've had the internet, we've had the airplane, we've had, the combustion engine, we've had, nanotechnology and blockchain. I mean, it took us like millions of years to get, fire and agriculture and industry, and just a few hundred years to do like incredible breakthroughs. Now we have artificial intelligence. So, the Tony Robbins says that there's three S's. There's strategy, which he says is 20%. Find a better strategy, which basically means compete with the current rules. Find a strategy that works. He doesn't phrase it exactly like that. But the second one is story. Find a better story. It's not only the story that we tell other people, it's the story that we tell ourselves. We're basically prisoners of our own imagination sometimes and our own limited beliefs. And then the third one he says is state, which is that when people are happy and grateful, then it naturally leads to more productivity. It's like when you are depressed, obviously, you're defeating yourself before you even started. Like the famous expression, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So don't hate the player, hate the game. If someone's playing by the current rules, it might be a nasty or stupid game. Change. I'm not going to swear. I'm just going to abbreviate. Change the effing rules. Change the effing game. Make it a higher game. Do what Martin Luther King did and say, no, this is wrong. I'm going to make it a higher game. Don't hate the player. Martin Luther King didn't hate people. He didn't hate white people. He didn't hate anybody. He said this is an unjust, incorrupt system, and I'm going to change. I'm not going to hate the player. I'm going to hate the game.